All right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good this morning. Welcome to the Monday Morning Bubba live stream for you hard-working construction professionals. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day so far. It's 5 o'clock in the morning in Eastern. All right, fellas and ladies, how's everybody doing? We're live. Monday morning, boots laced, coffee in hand. Whoop, I took a bit in the lap. Coffee in hand. If you're joining me live, let me know where you're at and what trade you're representing. If you're on replay, you're still part of this crew. Today we'll be digging into some practical stuff. Dust hazards, respirators, communication, and keeping those pinch points out of your week. Hope everybody's digging it real well today. Got the headphones on. I hope it's not coming out anyway. I'm grooving this morning. Hope everybody's doing right. Let me know where you're at. Send me a text. Send me something. Let me know what's happening in your world, man. I want to know. Man, fall weather's coming on us, ain't it? Tell you what. I tell you, channel. Just rocking and rolling. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing some housekeeping. All right. I'm almost right on time. On real live time this morning. All right. I was checking some stuff. All right. Good morning, everybody. We're live Monday morning. Uh, you know, I need to mute this. Nah, crap. And what I need to do, pause it. There we go. All right. Let me know where you're at, where you're going. You know, a key thing that we're always in the field. We're doing, we're in the we're in the construction business, and we're always doing something with our hands. And another man is paying us, and feel we have certain obligations to him, and we're in a time crunch. We've got schedules to meet, and sometimes we get so focused on accomplishing the mission in front of us that we lose where we're at in time and space. And this is where we need to slow our mental game down, and be aware. Awareness. That's the word of the week. Awareness is the foundation of culture, the safety culture. Awareness of your surrounding, of your crew, of your tool, and your own limits. It could be bad news if we get out there and we get our mind involved in what our hands are doing, and we don't see the people above us who might drop something on our noggin. Um, too many accidents happen, not because people don't know, but because they're not paying attention at the right moment. And it can happen to anybody, the most professional guy, the hardest working dude, the smartest dude. It can happen to anybody from the wheelbarrow pusher to the president of the company. And it's all about your awareness. Like I said, we get so involved in what we're doing at the moment that we lose track of where we are in time and space. If you stay aware and you've done your pre-task plan and you're ready to get to work, you're more likely to have the mental capacity. And this is not a judgment on intelligence or non-intelligence. This is a statement about what's going on. If you've got your job well planned out, you're not having to contemplate everything that's going on around, everything that you're having to do with your hands. You give more time to awareness around you. It's like learning to drive a car. I use this story all the time. How many remember the first time you drove a car? Me, I started out, I think, in a manual transmission. So I had 3 pedals, a gear shift. I had to pay attention to what was going on the road, and braking and accelerating and clutching, and I wasn't worried about turning up the radio. I wasn't worried. I was trying to keep the car on the road and see what you can become too complacent because of your expertise, experience, and knowledge. That could be an issue. But just as you go through your week, concentrate on awareness. Awareness is like the PPE for the mind. It protects you before you even lift a tool. So think about that. If you stay aware, you give yourself time to act, and that time can mean the difference between a close call and a call home. And not only take this into consideration for your own behavior, but look around at your guys and make sure you talk about being aware to them. Make sure they understand the task at hand so that it frees up their mental capacity to pay attention to what's going on around them on the job. And you could, you say, hey, you're sitting behind the microphone, and what do you know? Well, I've been on a job for the past 3 weeks. Matter of fact, I got up this morning and putting this out. I did some invoicing, and around noon, leaving and going back to Paradise, Kentucky. I'm working with a great bunch of guys out there look at old Waddles, man, working on an old power plant. And these are some of the things I discuss when I'm in the field. So I'm just not talking about it with you. And I've been getting a lot of positive feedback concerning, situational awareness. Whether it's driving your automobile to and from work, or on the job site, planning your work day, uh, being aware, being aware. All right, what do we got next? How's everybody doing today? Y'all send me a text, send me a message. Let me know you're listening. Hit me on the, what do you call that thing? The comments. Give me a comment. I'd like to see somebody out there. I guess I'm going to have to send myself a comment. Just so I feel like that I'm somebody's paying attention to me, man. Let's see. I'm gonna send my good morning. Let's see if everything's working out fine. Yeah. All right, there I am. I'm gonna turn this down. And I'm going to just let the algorithm believe that somebody's watching me and maybe somebody else will come floating in. And I get to look at myself and see how I'm outputting this morning. Anyway, good morning, good morning, good morning. Safety snapshot. Hey, listen, you know, most of the summer it's been kind of wet in my area, so dust hadn't really been a concern. But where I've been working for the past, I guess, 3 weeks or so, it's been pretty dry. And it's dusty from the roads to the job site. And then when you start talking about silica, drywall dust, wood dust, concrete, these aren't just job site annoyances, they're long-term hazards. And I put out a toolbox talk, I guess it was last week or the week before on the other channel, where we talked about respiratory protection. You only get one set of lungs, and they don't heal the way skin does. Make sure you wear the right protection. Whether it's a simple N95, a half-face respirator, or a power PAPR, make sure you wear it right. Now, if you're going to wear, now you can use a voluntary dust mask, and you can bring one from home. But if you're using a half-face respirator or a PAPR, a couple things have got to happen. Just don't put one. If your supervisor, if you complain about dust and the supervisor goes, "Here, take this," has to happen. He's got to ensure that you're physically able and physically fit to wear that respirator. Now, there's a couple things that has to go on. Your employer will send you for a respiratory physical. The respiratory physical could take two paths depending on how old you are and how good your health is. It could be as simple as a survey or a questionnaire. You'll have to go to a healthcare professional, and they'll give you a questionnaire, and you fill that out talking about your experience, age, general health, and then the doctor will do an assessment to determine whether he needs to do a full physical on you, and they'll test for capacity. They'll check and make sure your lungs operate. They'll check your heart, and then they'll authorize you to be healthy enough to wear a half-face respirator or a PAPR or a contained air, any of those respirators. And, excuse me. And then after you've been qualified, And then you would have to be fit tested. Now, fit tested is to be done by a qualified individual. It could be a supervisor who's been trained to do fit testing, a safety professional who's been trained to do fit testing, or you could get it right there at the clinic where you get your respiratory physical. It just depends. And when you get fit tested, now it has to be with the type of respirator you're going to be using on the job. So if you get fit tested with an N95, that's what you're qualified to wear on a job site. Now, if you get fit tested on a half-face respirator, then that's what you're qualified to wear on the job, so forth and so on. And they'll do that through either smoke test, irritant smoke, or Bitrix, or some other stuff, and they'll have you put the respirator on. And you guys who already have this know about it. I'm just talking about some of the new guys who might be just getting into construction and learning. But anyway, you'll put the respirator on, and they'll have you move your head and bow down and look up and do several movements and give you the rainbow passage, and you'll read that passage. And while you're doing all this, they'll be squirting irritant smoke all around that respirator. And if the respirator's too big or too small, or if it has any leaks, it'll detect it through that irritant smoke or that Bitrix. Some of them smell sweet and taste sweet, and some of them the irritant smoke. But anyway, they'll give you that fit test, and then they'll write you a letter, or you'll have your physical, you'll have your fit test, which is documented, and then you're qualified to wear it on the job site. Now, the physical has to be done annually. The fit test, I believe that's annually or as needed. Okay. Now, when you're on the job site, if you're wearing a respirator every day, you need to develop some muscle memory on inspecting your equipment, cleaning it, make sure the straps are good, make sure the seals are good and they fit tight, the filters aren't clogged or expired. Your respirator, it doesn't work as well when it's dirty or damaged or hanging from your hard hat. It'll get harder and harder to breathe through. So that's something to keep in mind. Anyway, and then if you're getting into asbestos and all that other stuff, there's a whole bunch of things you have to be aware of. And then one important thing is when you take that respirator off, put it in a safe place. Man, I've walked through so many jobs, and them old torch cutters are the worst ones. They'll hang them on the bottles, and all kinds of crap's just floating out of there and landing in the respirator, and they'll come back from lunch and put that on, and I'm like, what in the heck are you doing? I've been known to just pick them up and take them to the trailer and make a note where I found them, and they'll come in and, hey, I can't find my respirator. And I'm like, okay, where'd you leave it at? I left it on the third deck on the turbine area. I said, oh. And I pull it out. Is this it? Yeah, that's it. Hey, man, thank you. And I'm like, I found this thing just hanging. Look at the dirt in there. And you tell me you're going to put that on just to, not to, yeah, to pick on them, but not to make them mad, just to raise their awareness to what they're fixing to put in their lungs. All right, we're going to move on after that. If you have any questions on respirators, hey, send me a comment, send me some contact, and we can start a conversation about that. And I can give you some direction and some standards and things to get you straight on that. All right. How am I sounding? I see one person watching. Oh, don't know who that is. Let me know how the stream sounds, how it looks. What's the color like? Am I sounding good? My wife was sitting there last night or night before. She says, if somebody's doing a stream or a podcast and they're drinking something on it, that's it for me. I'm just done. And I'm like, well, at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm probably going to have some coffee to keep me motivated. So I was like, I didn't say anything. So I'm sure that's not her, as that one viewer that I have right now, is that I do like to have a little cup of coffee. And after this, I'm going to enjoy a pinch tobacco, another stimulant. I don't recommend the use of either one to anybody. Anyway, we're moving on. Job site challenge. Communication. And I'll talk about communication constantly. And I believe in communication, or I wouldn't be having this live stream at 5 o'clock on Monday morning, would I? But this week's challenge is communication on the job site. It starts with a safety meeting. This is a travel day for the job I'm on, and tomorrow everybody will be at. We have a meeting place. Everybody will be there at 6:30 and be signing in or have signed in at 6:30. Now, my position is lead safety on this job, and I'll commence the meeting and throw the theme out there. And I normally have a theme for the week. Last week I did housekeeping, and there's a whole bunch of aspects. Like I said, we've got some asbestos contractors on site, and so we had general housekeeping and containment, housekeeping as far as keeping tools in place and things like that. So, but we communicate, and it starts at a safety meeting, communication, but it can't stop there. The information has to make its way down to the crew and into the PTP and into the day's workflow. In our meeting, our leadership, each contractor, supervisor or leadership for that contractor, we have the general safety meetings where it's, say, housekeeping, and then they will inform the other crews where they're working at, what type of work they're going to be doing, and it talks about the hazards that's associated. Now, after that, they break out and go to their work areas and have their own PTPs, their pre-task plans. And sometimes they break it down into 2 or 3 crews who are doing a PTP plan. And that's part of the communication chain. Now, I've talked about it 100 times. The PTP is the most important tool on the job site, in my opinion. That's where it all begins. But the PTP talks about the task that are going to be performed, and it talks about the hazards associated with that task and the mitigation for those hazards for that task. And that's done in a group setting. whoever's participating in the task, and they sign off that they understood what the task is, what the hazards are, and how to mitigate those hazards. At the end of the day, they sign off that they've been injury free. But I've seen crews that don't do that, and miscommunication is one of the leading causes of job site incidents. One person assumes, another misunderstood, and suddenly the crew's in the line of fire. So, a guy shows up late for work, and the supervisor goes, your crew's over there by the dewatering or wherever, just call it whatever. And he just goes over there and falls in and starts working without any kind of training or telling what's going on. And they're doing something that they had talked about, and he has no idea about it, and all of a sudden he's in the line of fire. And could be injured. So don't just nod through the meetings either. And the guys I'm working with right now, they're a good bunch of guys. And I ask questions, commentary. I ask, I want that feedback. And occasionally there is feedback. I'd like to see it more. But just don't nod through the questions. Through the meeting. Ask questions. Repeat instructions. And make sure everyone's on the same page. Good communication is good safety. Keep that in mind. All right. Oh my God. Hey. Why did the concrete worker break up with his girlfriend? Because she took him for granted. Hey, y'all got a better joke? Send it to me. I'm looking all the time. All right, what's the dustiest job side trade? Whoever lost the broom. That makes no sense. Pluriforia, baby, you got to do better than that. Hey, she's not a construction worker. She's not even a she. If somebody asks me about pluriforia, I'll give you a little bit, but it's the best word is an entity. Pluriforia, goddess of knowledge and sharing. The entity that helps me several times a week. Now, it took me a long time to train Pluriforia. Not train, but to give her how I think. And I guess these jokes is a summary. Oh my God. I better be careful what I say. Alright. I had a guy once who wore his respirator on his forehead like a sweatband. Said it was easier to breathe that way. And I told him, I said, yeah. So it's not working at all. But at least the respirator will let you retire with working lungs. The crew laughed, and he actually wore it right the rest of the day. Yeah, so it's not working at all. But at least the respirator will let you retire with working lungs. Listen, I'm 63 years old, and I've abused my lungs, and Occasionally I still do, but the older I get, the more I realize that I should have took care of them when I was a younger dude. Anyway, uh, last week we talked about housekeeping and scaffolding, and we talked. I talked about it all week this past week, housekeeping and scaffolding. Uh, and I've gotten some comments from folks saying the biggest struggle is getting everyone to buy and keeping things clean. And it's the job I've been on. These guys are doing a good job. It's you'll see the occasional water bottle, and I've got the trick down where if I see a bottle, I'll I don't like to bend down but once, but I'll step on the bottle and it's still full, and I'll take the other foot and roll it across the lid, and it'll come off, and I'll smash it and spew the water out that's left in it, and then I'll pick up the bottle and the cap. It's already crushed, and I'll throw it in the nearest trash receptacle. And there's plenty of them on this job. And it's me seeing the bottle for more than a day. Somebody may have put it there, going to come back to it, and half a water bottle is, I see it wasted and I don't like it. But when they see me bend over and pick up a piece of trash or pick up a water bottle and throw it away, that sets an example for them to follow. And I think we all should set a good example. So start with housekeeping. That's culture again. It spreads by example. If you leave a mess, then someone else will too. But if you clean yours, eventually the crew follows suit, because the peer pressure is the best thing on a job site, whether it's following a safety procedure or house cleaning. If I walk a job site, I've got my safety glasses on with the side shield, hard hat, safety vest. I've got work gloves. I got them on a clip, and sometimes I'm wearing them if I'm walking through the building using handrails and all that. I'll have them on. If I go to pick something up, they'll see me pause for a minute and put the gloves on. And I got the work boots on, so I'm properly attired to set the example. And they know that if and I've seen guys, leadership come onto a job site and not wearing the proper PPE. And here's a funny example. We're on a job site and it's a chemical plant, and I've got roads barricaded and guards. I can't let anybody come through there. This stuff is dangerous. And the owner of the company comes through, and guy wouldn't let him pass. I mean, he was a temporary worker. He didn't know who the company president was. He wouldn't let him pass. You don't have the proper PPE. No, sir, this is dangerous. I'm sorry. And turned him back. And I kind of grinned about it. I said, the man's doing his job. And we had a safety meeting, and the owner showed up, and he called that old boy out, and that old boy had a look of concern on his face, like it was fixing to be the end. But in fact, the owner gave him accolades, said, you did what you're supposed to do. You did your job. You did exactly what you're supposed to do. And thanked him for his work in front of the rest of the crew. Now, that set a powerful example, one that you can't measure how important that was. So that's culture again, developing a culture. Every, everybody doing the right job, everybody doing the thing regardless, and it's all in the interest of protecting the lives and safety of others. Anyway, that's a perfect example, and I use that from time to time. All right, I see I got a couple viewers here. Hello there, viewer. I appreciate it. Makes me feel good to know that somebody's out there, even if you're just passing through. Hey, man, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. This is Morning Bubba. It's a Monday morning, 5 a.m. Live stream that I do for construction workers, where we talk about safety and leadership, and we're glad to have you. And if you don't catch it live, still glad to have you. You're part of the crew. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for watching. Now, we talked a few minutes ago about respirators, and we hit on it earlier, but talk about it a little deeper. Care for them like they're your lifeline, because over the long run, they are your lifeline. Care and clean them after each use. I don't care if you store them in a plastic grocery sack, but go ahead and store them. Put them, when you're through wearing them, put them in something safe. And those old plastic bags you get at the grocery store, you drop them in there and you tie a good knot in, just one knot, until it's sealed up. And then you got something, you can hang it somewhere, and it keeps all the goo and the dust and the dirt that's on the job site from landing in them, and avoids you from breathing that in. But store them in a sealed bag or container. Just don't throw them in the back of the truck. Don't hang them on the gas cylinders. Don't hang them on a hook on a wall somewhere without them being properly secured, clean. And don't jam them into something that's going to disform them. You wear them a half a day, then they naturally form because of your body heat and your face. They form fit eventually, and they form a good feel and fit. And check that fit every time you put it on. Do the old negative air, positive air test and make sure it's holding. And check those filters. Make sure if they're getting hard to breathe, or if they've got an expiration date on them, because there's several kinds of filters out there. You can have just a plain HEPA filter, and it's normally pink in color. Or you could have one that's got filters out certain types of gas. And welders or burners, they use an organic filter. It helps capture some of that stuff. That's a 2-stage filter, so it might be gray and pink. I've seen yellow and pink. I've seen various colors, and that has to do with what they filter out. So make sure those filters are in good order and they're not clogged up. They do get clogged up after a while because they're filtering that stuff before it gets in your lungs. And remember, dust might not drop you today. It's not like getting a cut or fall or hurting yourself today, but it's the silent hazards that takes your future. And, I used an example this past week. A guy I know and love, have known him for decades. And when you have a conversation, he's always, always having that kind of conversation with him. And it's from, you know, not taking care of his respiratory system over the years of working in the demolition business and all that dust. So make sure you take care of those lungs. It's mighty important, and you got to make it a habit, or it just won't be anything if it's not a habit. All right, I reckon I beat that horse enough. Respiratory protection. Oh man, tell me where you going this morning, Bubba. You hanging loose, or you getting that cup of coffee? You picking up your coworkers? You headed to the shop to get the tools, pick up a couple guys? You headed to the job site? Are you one of those early starters already on the job site, writing up your PTP, getting ready for your crew to show up? Those are the guys I'd like to see. I'm that guy. I get to the job site. We have our safety meeting at 6:30 on this project, and now I get to the job site at 5:45, and I'd like to be there a little bit earlier, but scheduling and things like that just doesn't allow that to happen for me. But there's only one other guy, and he's the project manager, and he gets there 5 minutes before I do, or 10 minutes before I do, and starts coffee. And from time to time, I'll have that cup of coffee, but most of the time I'm riding in thinking about what I'm going to talk about, what the safety issues are, and how I want to present them to the guys. I'm doing that on the ride in, the 15-20 minutes it takes me to ride in, and getting my thoughts together. And then when I get there, I've got other things to do. But when I drive by the parking lot where the guys are, if there's 2 or 3 guys out there, I'm like, all right, them guys are getting ready. And I call them out, say, hey man, saw you out there, appreciate you getting yourself ready to go to work. And they see me, and so we start that little mini culture of leadership, getting in there and getting her done. All righty. I got a little trade wisdom quote on communication and timeliness. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. And that's by George Bernard Shaw, playwright, music guy. Don't assume everyone's heard your safety message or understood your PTP. Make sure they understood it. Just because they doze off in your meeting, and I've seen guys who could sleep standing up, you make sure, call them out. Hey, Joe, Jose, Fred, hey, what's this? Get them involved. And on this job site, there's probably anywhere between 55 and 60 people. And so I'll do my routine, my breach the subject, whatever it may have been. Say it was housekeeping this past week. And then the contractor, he'll start, one of the contractors start laying out what they're going to do today so that everybody knows where everybody's working, what everybody's doing. I'll start counting, and I'm just looking, and I know them fellas don't know whether I'm looking at them directly or if I'm looking to see if they're awake or what they might think. I'm doing a head count, okay? I'm doing a head count so that I can match it up with the sign-in sheet and make sure those numbers align. But they see me looking just like this. And I'll count 2 or 3 times because I never know if I counted right the first time. There's a gaggle of guys here, a gaggle of guys there. And I'm trying to make sure that I've got the right head count. And they don't know if I'm looking at them or not. So they're normally paying attention. And that's one way to help ensure. Make eye contact as you're talking to your guys and giving them their instructions or covering the PTP or whatever you're having to do. And you know when someone's paying attention. If they're looking at their phone, boy, don't let me catch you looking at that dadgum phone when I'm up here trying to protect you and your family and make sure you go home whole. Don't you be looking at that daggum phone. I want your... And by doing that head count, that's what I'm doing as well. Anyway, George Bernard Shaw, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Many, many, many years ago, I would show up my primary job was safety audit, and I had divisions I would work in. I'd work one division this week, another division the next week, and I would show up on the job site a half hour before they were supposed to be there, and I'd be sitting there drinking the coffee, listening to the radio, blah blah blah, and the guys would show up, the operators, and they'd get in their equipment and start working. And some of the guys would be standing around with a shovel in their hand, guys, and then they might recognize, excuse me, they might recognize that I'm there, and then they'll try and look busy, and I wasn't what I was there for, and they'd be working way half hour, 45 minutes after start time, and all of a sudden here comes a trail of dust coming down the road, and there's a supervisor. And he'd get out of the truck, and all of a sudden he's stopping this operator, giving him instructions, stopping the other operator, giving him his pointing and talking, pointing and talking, pointing and talking. And he'd stop everybody, and they'd be moving trash in a wheelbarrow. They'll be cleaning up, running skid steer. He'd stop them and point and talk, point and talk, point and talk. No PTP, no safety moment. No building a safety culture. No organizing anybody. And I would stop them from working. Now everybody, hey man, we got a lot to do. Well, you should have been here when they got started. Well, I need to call the boss. I said, do you need his number? I would stop them, man. Some of these supervisors get darn sideways with me. I didn't care. Look, this is what we do. Every morning, where's your PTP? Where's your EH&S? You have an SDS book? You got a first aid kit? Where's your fire extinguisher? I have one, but it says blah, blah. Yeah, I think you got one in that. Have a safety moment, okay? Have a safety moment. Have a PTP meeting where you go over what everybody's going to be doing today, what the overarching objective for today is, what everybody's responsibility is in that overarching objective, and what the hazards are associated with that work they're going to be doing, and how they mitigate those hazards. And also, I want to see that you have the EH&S for your company that you're working for. That EH&S is your guidebook on how the company runs its business and what obligations they have to safety and what those obligations are that you as a supervisor and the employees have under that EH&S. And I want that fulfilled every day. And the EH&S requires that you have an SDS. That employee, that company EH&S says that you'll do a PTP meeting every day, a safety meeting once a week. You will have a fire extinguisher on the job of the type ABC 10. That you will have a first aid kit that is suitable for the size crew that you have. That your equipment operators will be qualified. That if you're wearing respiratory protection, that your people will be qualified to wear them via a physical fit test and appropriate respirator for the hazard they're involved in. On and on and on and on again. Well, I can't remember all that. Yeah, you can. And it's your duty. It's your duty to make sure that you're protecting yourself and your crew at your job. And it took, man, I bet it took a year, and that's with me visiting 15 to 20 jobs a week. And now I didn't get to every one of them at startup time, but every day I was on somebody's job when start time was there. And if they didn't know how to lead a safety meeting, I would do it. I would help them. I would give them an example. And that's one of the reasons that I have the other channel, the safety topic channel, to help with guys who want to do the job but have trouble with presentation. I give a video presentation on a safety topic and give them a script where they can print it out and maybe if they have to use how I present it and maybe do a better job than I do. I don't care. I'm not the expert. I'm just trying to help and ensure that people have the ability to do it. Okay. Anyway, that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, it took about a year, and then eventually I could show up on a job site, and that's exactly the way it would go. And it really, and then I would report all that, and I would share that report with division managers and other supervisors in that division so that they knew, number one, they knew I was in town at that point. Well, the division managers already knew because they gave me a listing of jobs. And and then when I, visited all these sites, they eventually knew what I was looking for. And I would have copies of these EHSs and SDSs printed up, and I would give them one and have them sign off on it. And it was a document showing they had received the information, and just started with that program every day with that same speech pattern. And we started down the road, and after a year or so, I was real proud of the results, and so were the division managers, and so was the owner of the company. So that was a good thing. Anyway, that's the way she swings. Last week we covered safety is not a joke. And this week on the channel, I'll probably drop it Friday at lunchtime, so use it next week. We're dropping a talk on pinch points because hands and fingers don't grow back. We'll be covering common pinch point hazards. From doors and hatches on heavy equipment and rigging. So make sure if you need a safety subject for not today, but next Monday, the other channel is MCB, Middle Class Bubba. Look that up and see if and check that out. If you need some guidance, you might have something already in plan. But anyway, that's what we'll be talking about. Be sure you're subscribed and don't miss it. Also, you can hit subscribe on these live streams too, and you'll get notifications that they're fired up on Monday mornings. We're here. I am here every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Now, sometimes I won't be in the home studio. I'll be on the road. Next week, I'll be in Kentucky, and I'll do it from the hotel room. But it's important to me to get out there and have these conversations on a daily basis. All right. Boys and girls, we're running out of time. Your lungs. Piece of tobacco went down the wrong way. Protect your lungs, communicate clearly, and watch out for the pinch points and the other hazards on your job. Stay safe, stay sharp, and stay on time. And at the end of every single video, at the end of every single live stream, there's one thing that I say, and everybody should start the day with an attitude of gratefulness. Gratitude is a powerful thing. If you start the day with gratitude, it rewires your mind in a positive fashion. So as you give your safety talks this morning to your crew, as they perform their work for you, don't ever hesitate to stop and say, thank you. Thank you for doing that. You did a good job. And every time you do that, number one, it rewires the person's mind you're talking to. It gives them a boost in their confidence, a boost in their outlook. And every time you say it to someone else, it rewires your mind into a positive a positive fashion. It rewires. Anyway, as always, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week, and we will